In session, please rise, place your right hand over your heart, and repeat the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the record will reflect that all board members and all cabinet members are present. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the July 20th, 2021 meeting?
So moved, Linda Porras.
By Linda Porras. Is there a second?
Tricia Pierce, second.
Thank you. Tricia Pierce, second. Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? That carries 5-0. Board meeting addenda. Is there any addenda to this evening's meeting?
Yes, I'll use this microphone. I'm going to reference agenda item 19.2 regarding the first reading of board policy, or BP 5127. It was discovered that the incorrect policy was uploaded shortly after public posting, so the correct policy was uploaded shortly thereafter. We have print copies available from Blanche if anyone is interested in seeing that. Again, that's referenced to 19.2 on the agenda. Also on agenda item 21.1 regarding the contract with Maxim Healthcare, an incorrect date was listed on the contract. The date August 17, 2021 was a typo. It should read August 17, 2021. That concludes my remarks.
Okay, with those changes, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, Linda Porras.
By Linda Porras. Is there a second?
Second by Tricia Pierce.
Any discussion? Okay, call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? That carries 5-0. Okay, community staff student recognition. Mr. Bailey.
Thank you very much. I'm going to invite up to the podium Mrs. Mary Perry, our Public Information Officer, to recognize community staff and students this evening. Thank you.
Good evening. I have a couple of announcements for you this evening. I think you all know Lieutenant Colonel Paul Stryker, the teacher at Indio High School, and he asked that I share some news about his Raja cadets. 3 of his 2021 graduates are now proudly serving in the United States military. Alberto Cortez in the Air Force, planning to participate in the ROTC program to earn his degree and a commission. Brian Montoya in the Marines. He's taking his basic training in San Diego and hopes to return close to home after graduation. And Isaac Escobar in the Army is planning to become a Ranger. Raja Cadet Zahari Zaragoza and Madeline Perez were part of an elite group of only 300 cadets who participated in the California Cadet Corps Summer Encampment. Cadet Zaragoza was designated an honor cadet and scored second out of the entire class in marksmanship. Cadet Perez became a qualified cadet medic and received her emergency medical responder certification this summer. Cadet Zahari Zaragoza was joined by Edgar S. Benito and Christina Zaragoza at the Cadet Survival School. So congratulations to the individual members of the Indio High School Cadet Corps, to Colonel Stryker and his entire group. As you know, all 4 of our traditional high schools have ROTC and Cadet Corps students assisting with many community and district events, learning to be leaders in the community. I'd also like to share that early this month, we began to receive notice that several of our schools received PBIS recognitions. Schools with this distinction are awarded the recognition based on a 3-tiered framework of evidence of their positive, behavioral interventions and supports. I wanted to give a special thanks to Mandy Wiltrout, a student assistant program counselor here at Desert Sands, for helping to clear up some confusion about the awards. We have 12 schools that were recognized: Johnson Elementary, Reagan Elementary, Indio Middle, Jackson Elementary, Franklin Elementary, Indio High School, Desert Ridge Academy, Monroe Elementary, Kennedy Elementary, Jefferson Middle, Earhart Elementary, and Roosevelt Elementary. I know everyone will join me in congratulating them. Thank you.
We'll move on to introduction of new and recently promoted employees.
Thank you. I'll defer to Dr. Joe Hyde, Assistant Superintendent of Personnel Services.
Good evening, President Griffin, board members, and fellow cabinet members. I'm very excited to welcome 6 new management employees, and I'd like to start by welcoming Tamara Hagee-Lopez, therapist, student services. Born in Ms. Hagee-Lopez, if you'd like to step up to the dais, I'll just read a little bit about you. Born and raised in Southern California, Ms. Hagee-Lopez moved to the Coachella Valley in 2002. She earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree in art from the University of California at Santa Barbara and a Master of Arts degree in marriage and family therapy with clinical art therapy from Loyola Marymount University. Her early career included home-based services, home school-based programs, post-hospitalization programs, outpatient children's services, child protective services and family reunification, and residential therapy at Indio Juvenile Hall. Mrs. Hagee-Lopez assisted with the development of educationally related mental health services and provided special education mental health therapy for students and families here at Desert Sands from 2012 to 2018. She also provided the Medi-Cal community and school-based services at Palm Springs Unified as a mental health worker from 2018 to 2021. Mrs. Hagee-Lopez resides in India with her spouse, her 15-year-old daughter, who is a Palm Desert High School sophomore, and her 23-year-old son, who attends Cal State San Bernardino. She enjoys spending time with her family, taking road trips, cooking dinners, and watching movies. She loves the outdoor activities, such as hiking, camping, and playing golf, and states she is most centered when in nature and enjoys meditating and reading. Welcome back to Desert Sands, Mrs. Hagee-Lopez. Please introduce your guest and say a few words.
Hello, it's nice to be back to Desert Sands again. I had a really great time when I was here previously. I'm here with my husband, Saul Lopez, over there. And my daughter, Zoe Lopez. And thank you all for being here for my introduction, and I'm really excited to be here again and start up the mental health program. Thank you.
I'm also happy to welcome James Lister Looker, Assistant Principal, Palm Desert Charter Middle School. Mr. Lister Looker, please come up to the dais. Mr. Lister Looker began his career in education in 2009 as a 3.5-hour paraprofessional at Desert Hot Springs High School, working with students with moderate to severe disabilities. He completed his teaching internship at John Kelly Elementary in Thermal, California in 2012 and experienced a full circle moment when he returned back to Desert Hot Springs High School as a special education teacher. For 6 years, Mr. Lister Looker helped his students reach their greatest potential and also started adding to his leadership resume, serving as a department chair, WASC coordinator, school site council representative, and student wellness coordinator while earning a Master's of Arts degree in special education and in educational leadership. Nearly 3 years ago, Mr. Lister Looker was introduced to our board as a new special education program specialist. In this role, he supported administrators, teachers, classified staff, and families to improve outcomes for students with disabilities. In order to further his growth as an educational leader, Mr. Lister Looker completed the Desert Sands Leadership Academy and served as a summer school administrator. Mr. Lister Looker enjoys traveling and spending time with his family. Palm Desert Charter Middle School is happy to have you as part of its team. Congratulations, Mr. Lister Looker. Please introduce your guest and say a few words.
Thank you. And in the interest of brevity, I'm glad to be standing before the board again in this new position. It's very exciting for me, so thank you. I'm joined by my husband, Thomas Lister Looker, brand new special education teacher at Hoover Elementary. And our daughter, Brooklyn, who rightfully had no idea what we were coming to do this evening.
I am pleased to introduce Dr. Lisa McCall, Principal, Dr. Carry-On Academy. Lisa McCall is truly a San Diego State University alumni, having completed both her bachelor's degree, master's degree, and educational doctorate as an Aztec. In addition to her college coursework, Dr. McCall is also a graduate of the Learning Forward Leadership Academy, where she engaged in 3 years of impactful learning regarding effective leadership practices, professional development strategies that most strongly impact adult learners, as well as pathways to substantiate change, sustainable change. Dr. McCall began her educational career as a high school teacher. After spending a decade in the classroom, her desire to create a larger circle of influence was achieved accepting a position as a district curriculum resource teacher. For the past 20 years, Dr. McCall has served as a site principal in both K-8 and K-6 settings. She has had the honor to support various student groups, including English learners, special education, and GATE student populations. A major focus of her work as a site leader is ensuring differentiated and extended instruction in order to ensure inclusion and equity for all students. In addition to the work Dr. McCall has accomplished as a site leader, she's also presented at several national conferences on topics related to assessment practices, technology integration, and green initiatives. She is also an author, successfully publishing a book entitled Test Less, Assess More, a K-12 Guide to Formative Assessment. An interesting tidbit about Dr. McCall is that she has gone skydiving and had to overcome a fearful, debilitating fear of heights, but she still hasn't figured out how to whistle. Dr. McCall has 3 grown children, Taylor, 23, Connor, 26, and Christopher, 29. She's a San Diego native who enjoyed all the things San Diego has to offer and is a recent empty nester looking forward to her next chapter and the beauty of and the hot heat of La Quinta. We are very happy to have you as part of our Desert Sands teams. Welcome. Please introduce yourselves, and if you have any guests, say a few words.
Yeah, thank you. I am so honored to be part of this amazing district. I signed up for the heat. I didn't know about the humidity that came along with it. And so my kids obviously did, so they didn't want to make the drive out. But I am just thrilled, like I said, to be part of the district, and I look forward to sharing some of my background and my expertise and making Dr. Carrion Academy an even better school for the kids. Thank you.
Thank you. To welcome Dr. Jane Mcguire, educational psychologist. For the last 14 years, Dr. Mcguire was the school psychologist program coordinator at California Baptist University. While at CBU, she served as an administrator, lead professor, and intern supervisor. She's also been a licensed educational psychologist for 16 years. Dr. Mcguire also worked for the Moreno Valley Unified School District for 16 years as a psychologist, counselor, and teacher. She is trained as a behavior intervention case manager and can provide suicide prevention and intervention training and services at the school-wide and individual levels. Her years of experience, breadth of knowledge, and familiarity with school districts, pediatric assessment, and counseling makes her a great asset for Desert Sands. Welcome, Dr. Mcguire. Please introduce your guests and say a few words.
Thank you. My family wasn't able to be here tonight, but I want to thank you all for allowing me to work here. I'm really appreciative to be at the alternative education campuses, as I have a real passion for transition from school to career or college. So I appreciate that, and I look forward to working with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. I am pleased to introduce Fernando Rodriguez, Assistant Principal, Amistad High School. Fernando Rodriguez received his Bachelor of Exercise Sports Science degree with a minor in Spanish from Texas State University, San Marcos. He then went on to earn a master's education degree in educational administration from Grand Canyon University. Mr. Rodriguez has been both a Spanish and history teacher, as well as a football and baseball coach, most recently at Palm Desert High School. Mr. Rodriguez is originally from San Antonio, Texas, Hook 'em Horns. He enjoys football, baseball, and golf. He's an avid fan of college sports and enjoys traveling when possible, listening to music, reading, and relaxing by the pool. He and his spouse are parents to a very spoiled miniature schnauzer named Abby. Welcome to the leadership, Mr. Rodriguez. Please introduce yourself and your guests.
Thank you. Members of the board, Superintendent Bailey, and Cabinet, thank you. I am extremely grateful for this opportunity. Joining me tonight is my husband, Mark, and I am extremely honored to support our teachers in any way that I can and to continue to serve the students and the families in our community. Thank you.
And certainly, last but not least, I'm happy to welcome James Santamaria, Prevention Intervention Psychologist. Mr. Santamaria holds a general psychology degree and an educational specialist degree in school psychology from California State University at San Bernardino. He also holds a pupil personnel services credential in school psychology. He has had the opportunity to travel during his first few years as a school psychologist, working with the county office in San Mateo and then with Capistrano Unified. He is currently enrolled in the Master of Arts program in Special Education Applied Behavior Analysis program at Arizona State University, as well as their board-certified Behavior Analyst BCBA certificate program. Mr. Santamaria is pleased to return to his home district, where he attended Desert Sand schools from kindergarten through 12th grade and is an Indio High School graduate. Go Rajas! He was a dedicated water polo player and swimmer. His spouse and children also attended all Desert Sand schools. His daughter Nikki was valedictorian at Shadow Hills in 2013, and his son Gary is attending the Adult Transition Program at the Eisenhower Community Education Center. His spouse is an assistant principal with Coachella Valley Unified School District. He enjoys many outdoor activities with his family that include off-roading, boating, camping, and traveling. He enjoys playing basketball on the weekends, working on cars, and generally working around the house. He looks forward to an amazing school year with the DSUSD family. We are so glad to welcome you home, Mr. Santamaria.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself, your guest, and say a few words.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. It's a wonderful new position that was created, and I hope to work closely with all of you guys and staff, administration. I'm here tonight with my son Gary and my wife Anna Santamaria. Thank you for the opportunity.
Wendy Jonathan, do you have any comments?
Yes, I just wanted to welcome all the hires. Tamara, welcome to our district. James, I think it's wonderful that you were homegrown, so to speak. You went through the Leadership Academy, so I'm glad to see you now at Palm Desert Charter Middle School, and I'll be visiting you later on this year. Lisa, congratulations as well. To Dr. Carrion, I'm sure that you're going to do a wonderful job. By the way, Lisa, I can't whistle either. I can only blow in, I can't blow out, so you're not the only one. Jane, welcome. I'm glad to see that we snagged somebody from Moreno Valley. We're pleased to have you. I know you're going to do wonderful things. Fernando, welcome to Amistad. I think that you're going to do an incredible job over there, and I'm sure that Palm Desert High School is going to miss you as their coach, but I'm glad for Amistad and what you have to offer. And finally, James, it's wonderful to see someone who grew up in our district coming back to our district. We have quite a few people like that, and that means you really have a lot of insight as to what our students really need. So congratulations to all, and I welcome you to our Desert Sands family.
Tricia Pierce, do you have any comments?
Just welcome to all the new hires. I'm glad to see there are the 3 psychologists and intervention specialists that we really need at this time. We need it all the time, but even more so, and so I'm happy to see that in our lineup. Thank you.
Linda Porras.
I just want to say welcome to our Desert Sands family and have a great year.
Anna Conover.
Congratulations on your positions and welcome to Desert Sands. Thank you.
I also would like to thank all of you for applying at Desert Sands and working with us. I think you're going to find it's a great opportunity here. We have excellent facilities, we have wonderful students, and I hope we provide what you need to fulfill your own desires and what you want to do in education. I think we have a great opportunity starting tomorrow for the 21-22 school year. I think this will be a year unique to itself, and having strong leadership is always a blessing for us. So we look forward to the work we're going to watch you do and the great things you're going to accomplish. So again, welcome to Desert Sands. Mr. Bailey?
Reiterate, welcome to the family. It's a great family, and we're glad you've joined about 2,800 other family members. So welcome and congratulations.
Next is the information items, but for those people that just got introduced, this might be a good time to slip out and continue your celebration if you want to take a brief moment to do that. Or you can stay for the meeting. I'm sure it's going to be enjoyable. Okay, we do have one information item. We have the actuarial study of the retiree health liabilities valuation. The next will be staff conference items, which we have none. And next we'll have the public hearing. So section 14.1 is the public hearing number 01-2021-2022, the special education moderate to severe disabilities curriculum adoption. We'll open the podium at this time to anybody that would like to speak on the special education moderate to severe disabilities curriculum adoption at 7:20.
Good evening, Cabinet and Board. I'm Trina Gonzalez-Alisi. I'm the DSTA President, and I just would like to thank the Ed Services Department and our great partnership that we have with the Curriculum Council. This needed to be approved so that it could be put into place this school year, and it needed to be done before we were expected to be back on campus. And so I want to applaud the members of the Curriculum Council who participated in that, and again, Ed Services, and just working together through that process. And I'm sure that this will be a great curriculum for our students with special needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments on the public hearing? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing at 7:22. Move on to section 15, the COVID-19 response update. Mr. Bailey.
Okay, item 15.1, COVID-19 response update. This is a standing item around all things COVID as related to the school district, in this case, reopening. I wanted to recognize the fact that Laura Fisher has not been with us for some time. You may remember that she had a kidney transplant, I believe it was a year ago, and now she's recovering from her pancreas transplant. So she's listening live right now, but that's why she's not with us, to provide her specific update this evening. With that said, we obviously are excited tomorrow. Ready or not, here they come, about 27,000 students. Very excited about that. First day of school tomorrow. We have a support team going out from central office to make sure that operations open smoothly. I'm also going to be joined at my school stops by local council persons, mayors, media will be out. Thank you for your coverage tomorrow. Exciting day, first day of school. All right, from various areas of responsibility, I'm going to actually defer now to Dr. Joe Hyde to tell us your update from Personnel Services.
Thank you, Superintendent Bailey. First off, I'd like to start with, on Wednesday, August 11, 2021, the California Department of Public Health released a new public health order mandated COVID vaccine verification and weekly testing for non-fully vaccinated transitional kindergarten through 12th grade workers. On Friday, August 13th, a communication was sent to all district employees advising them of this new public health order. The district is working alongside of our bargaining unit partners to implement a vaccine verification system and a weekly testing program for non-fully vaccinated employees that is clearly organized and convenient to access. Our goal is to have something in place well before the October 15th deadline. In an effort to promote safety and cleanliness, Personnel Services is in the process of hiring additional custodial staff for every site in the school district. Further, counselors and mental health workers have been hired to provide social emotional support for our students. And finally, the district is planning to add trained support personnel to oversee isolation cares areas and to provide site-based contact tracing support for schools. I'm also pleased to report that we are nearly fully staffed to begin the new school year. To date, we've added 81 new teachers and certificated employees to our workforce. I would like to recognize and commend the efforts of our site administrators, as well as our terrific Personnel Services team for working diligently and effectively to recruit and select a number of highly qualified and talented certificated staff. And finally, today Governor Newsom signed Executive Order N-1221, providing a number of extensions and amendments to policy designed to help mitigate the recent surge in COVID cases. Most importantly, this executive order waives the typical 180-day STRS mandatory waiting period for retired certificated employees, which they must wait and adhere to prior to reemployment with the school district. This will allow our district greater flexibility in reemploying recently retired teachers and help us fill certificated staff in critical areas such as temporary independent study teaching assignments.
Thank you for your report, Dr. Hyde. Let's go now to Mr. Aquino, Business Services.
I just wanted to update the board that the district has updated its COVID-19 safety plan, which pretty much acts as reopening guidance for our parents in our community. That can be accessed on the district's website. There's an English and a Spanish version available.
Thank you, Mr. Aquino. Now to Dr. Kelly Mae Vollmer from Education Services.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. So just one update this evening on AB 130, which is the revised independent study bill that went into effect. Just a reminder, those changes for the board's reference. Pupils in transitional kindergarten through third grade will be provided the opportunity for daily synchronous instruction in the independent study program, where grades 4 to 8 will be provided with daily live interaction and weekly synchronous instruction, and pupils in grades 9 through 12 the opportunity for weekly synchronous instruction. And at the end of the day today, there were 375 students registered for independent study starting tomorrow.
Thank you to Cabinet, and again, thought and prayer for Laura Fisher.
All right. So now we'll move on to public comment on open session items. Anna Conover.
We have no online submissions. The first one will be, and I'm going to call the first 3 names in case they're seated outside. John Parker will be first, Dan Ball second, Arlene Wogelmath will be third. Okay, John Parker. In accordance with bylaws of the Board 9323, time is reserved for oral communications by members of the Board of Education or by citizens present. Citizens wishing to be heard on agenda items shall have a 3-minute limit and shall indicate their intention at this time. In accordance with the law, decisions of the board cannot be made on any matter not previously published before the board meeting as indicated in bylaws of the board 9323.2.
Thank you very much. I've been reading the model curriculum for ethnic studies, and you know, at first blush it looks like, you know, I think, though, it's important to say, I don't really think that anybody objects to someone's heritage or culture. No one's trying to suppress that. The fact is that we're all in this together. And particularly with what's happening in the country today, I think that we really need to focus on being together if possible. Excuse me. Those that divide the races have zero credibility. E pluribus unum. You know, America is the most diverse country in the world. We have more people from more countries, speaking more languages, of different colors, sizes, and shapes of anywhere in the world. In fact, it's kind of interesting. You know, I was thinking of friends of mine and myself. I married a woman from China, past, married. Another friend married an Asian woman. Another friend, Hispanic. Another friend, black. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And the fact of the matter is over the decades, what's happened is we've really homogenized, if you will, the different cultures. So how many mixed children, mixed families do you see? A lot of them. A lot of them. I don't know that I'd say a majority necessarily, but I don't think the intention is to divide the races and to be critical of another person's heritage. In reading the curriculum, I ran across a sentence that I found interesting. Ethnic Studies course addresses institutionalized systems of advantage. I mean, that's the start of it. It kind of goes on from there. You know, throughout history, people have advantage and other people don't, regardless of color or ethnicity or, you know, religion or whatever. It's just kind of the way that the world works. And yes, we want everyone to have equal opportunity, to be able to advance, to be able to, you know, live the best life possible. That's what America is all about. We welcome people. We welcome people from all over the world with open arms. Oh, I was just getting into the good part. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Anyway, have fun tonight. You're going to enjoy it.
Thank you. Next, Dan Ball.
Good evening. My name is Dan Ball. My daughter is in the 8th grade at Palm Desert Charter Middle. I'm here tonight because, as a parent, my number one job is the safety and well-being of my child. With that in mind, this mask mandate is putting them at risk. And in my mind, it's a form of child abuse. You may not think that keeping these face muzzles on our kids, maybe you're thinking you're keeping them safe. You're not. So my question is, why are you doing this? Well, it's probably because you're either misinformed, blinded by fear, uneducated on the matter, or you simply lack the backbone to stand up to these tyrannical mandates. Note I said mandates, not laws, because they are not laws. A select few in power in this state and in the federal government lack the intestinal fortitude to stand up to these mandates. But you expect us parents to drop our kids off tomorrow with the masks on for 8 hours. Why? It can't be because you're following the science and the data, because if you were, you'd know that over 4 million children have contracted COVID in this country. And oh, by the way, how many have died? How many have had severe symptoms? Do any of you know? It's 0.008%. That's how many. The annual flu kills more kids, yet I've never heard this board demand masks on our kids before now. So maybe some of you have been watching the mainstream lying media reporting that in Florida and Texas, numbers are up, and you don't want that to happen in the Valley. Well, do a little research. You'll find out the numbers the CDC reported last week were incorrect. That's a fact. Let's talk numbers. You realize that 615,000 Americans did not die from COVID. Those are combined numbers of people who actually died due to the virus and people who had the virus in their body at the time of death. Look it up. They're combined numbers. Yet your decision to muzzle our children is putting their mental and physical health in jeopardy. Lack of oxygen to the body and the brain. Improper immune system development. Kids are supposed to get sick from time to time so their system can react naturally. And how about their mental health board? Did you know that child depression is skyrocketing? Adolescent suicide up 22%. How about the ability to communicate? Communication skills between the kids and the teachers cannot be clear when wearing facial diapers. How in the hell can you hear a teacher and see their mouth for proper enunciation, pronunciation, and diction? You can't. So my question is, how long will you, the board, go along with this charade? We are doing long-term permanent psychological damage to our kids. Case in point, we've instilled fear in our kids. They fear of getting others sick. They fear death. They fear of breathing fresh air. That, my board, is child abuse. I'll end with this. The other day, my beautiful daughter, this is my beautiful daughter, we were at a store in San Diego. She put her mask on. I said, sweetie, you don't need to wear that. She said, Dad, it's okay. I don't mind. I kind of like it now. Let me repeat. I don't mind. I kind of like it now. She also told my fiance that masks are okay because you don't have to communicate with others as much and you can't tell if somebody's mad or sad. So it's good because you don't have to deal with that stuff. My daughter said this. Can you think about that for a moment? Masks are okay. Avoiding human contact and emotions. The human condition demands social interaction. So what message are you as a board sending to our kids? Aren't you folks critical thinkers? Did you use any of that critical thinking when deciding to muzzle our kids? Or like a good lapdog to just roll over without any questions? Aren't we as good citizens supposed to question our government? And by the way, if the vaccines and masks work so well, and if your faculty and staff are vaccinated and wearing masks, then why muzzle our children? So please, look at the data, do your research. If you do, you'll find your decision is wrong. It's based on false information, biased media reports, and political ideology. One final note, you won't be alone. Several other board members in this country have changed their position. In fact, last night in North Carolina, they changed their mind because they listened to their parents. These are our kids. I just got her minutes. These are our children, not yours. We make the health decisions for our children, not the board. So in closing, I hope, I pray, this board will put the safety and health of our children first. and not politics. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, in the green, what was your name? Okay. Hang on a second. And Ms. Arlene? Okay, Ms. Arlene Wilbeck, you may begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Could you please, she's trying to talk. Thank you. You may begin.
Mr. President and members of the Desert Sands School Board, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight on an issue that is of great concern to me and my family who live in this district. One of the highest priorities of any community is to see that our children receive a good education, and I thank you for your commitment to that end. The issue I want to discuss is the ethnic studies requirement that the legislature is in the process of passing now. The State Board of Education's model curriculum is very broad, which allows you to determine what will be taught in that one semester of the required course. I encourage you not to include critical race theory in the curriculum that you adopt. Critical race theory is a tool being used by those who seek to transform our country into a socialist nation. Socialism has been successful in other countries by pitting one class against another, poor against rich, workers against owners. Under capitalism, however, wealth is not predetermined nor stagnant. The poor move up and the wealthy move down. The American dream is built on equal opportunity, not equal outcome. So since Marxists couldn't succeed in sowing division on the basis of wealth or the lack thereof, they turned to race. Between the Emancipation Proclamation and the Civil Rights Movement of the 1960s, blacks had every justification to hate whites. Then Martin Luther King taught this nation a better way. Since that time, race relations have improved dramatically and society has been the better for it. I can think of many examples of the dramatic societal change since my teenage years in the 1960s, as I'm sure you can, not that you're as old as I am. But have things been perfect? Of course not. But the bottom line is that we were well on our way to achieving what the signers of the Declaration of Independence proclaimed our nation to become, one where all men are created equal and have certain inalienable rights, that of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now comes a new threat, one that, if we allow it, will swing the pendulum the other way and give whites reasons to hate blacks. That's the goal of Marxism and its handmaiden, critical race theory, to subjugate and divide, to give one race privilege over another. And since race is unlikely to create enough unrest, then other presumably victimized groups have been thrown into the mix. Is their goal to increase harmony and opportunity for all? No. Their end goal is a revolt against all that has made this nation the most prosperous and most free the world has ever seen. If we, the people, are not equipped to self-govern, there are those promoting this division just waiting to govern us. I ask you to not let them.
Thank you. Okay. Next is Chase Coughlin.
Hello, I'd like to talk about how in my school I have been treated differently over my political views because my teachers have said that, my school has had it where every single day in my history class we watch CNN and my teachers have been saying that George Floyd is the new Martin Luther King and been bashing Trump every single day throughout my 9th grade year. Yet, it's fine for them to do that, but when I express my political views, I get shut down because I don't fit into their agenda. If you're a teacher and your students know your political views, you have failed as a teacher. My school is not, my school is supposed to show, school's supposed to show what, show you how to think, but not what to think. And schools are now telling you that with critical race theory, that even though not a single person alive on this planet was born before the year 1900, that we're still responsible for slavery, which makes no sense, because our school, because there's no evidence to back that up. And I haven't been able to see any of my classmates in almost 2 years. I haven't seen my teachers in almost 2 years. And I've been isolated in my room. People that are isolated are people in solitary confinement that are rapists and murderers, not school students. That's why you need to take off the mask, because kids need to be able to see each other and interact, see what their teachers are saying. With all of you on the board with your masks on, I can't tell who's talking. I don't know what's happening, and it's not right. We never have masked up for any other pandemic. There was no mask during the swine flu. There was no mask during this Spanish flu. There was no mask there was no mask during Ebola. But we mask up now because we only listen to Fauci. We don't listen to anyone else's view. And that's why you need to remove critical race theory and tell teachers that they're not allowed to share their political views anymore.
People will be Nicholas Rose, Catherine Silvera, and Tony Rinson. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Nicholas Rose.
All right, sorry, I'm going to have to jump in and get a little boring. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board and members of cabinet. I'm here tonight to touch on board agenda item 30.1 in personnel actions classified, and particularly those items where the bulk of the former classified specialists were hired and placed. As you may recall, the process for correcting what was a serious violation of these classified employees' Ed Code rights began almost 2 years ago, and the final MOU was approved during the March 16, 2021 board meeting. Part of the settlement agreement involves making these classified staff members whole and includes back wage payments. So I hope you can appreciate that I'm here tonight advocating on their behalf and expressing some disappointment in how long it has taken to get them placed and performing services for the district when their wages were already guaranteed. I am happy to be working with Dr. Hyde, and I do want to recognize the personnel department for acting swiftly this month to get these remaining staff members placed before students return to school tomorrow. But I must reiterate that this has been almost a 2-year process, and these hardworking folks are still waiting for the back wage portion of this remedy, and that they have been unable to get any answers from our Fiscal Services Department about when that remedy can be expected. I understand that this is no small task. There are 18 individuals affected. The back wage remedy goes back to the 2019-20 and 2020-21 school years, and there are some CalPERS contributions and considerations that must be addressed. But I would like to ask the board to look into this matter and to supply the agreed upon remedy as soon as possible, because while I acknowledge that priorities are changing and there are important things to move on to, We cannot leave these staff members behind. Many of them have served the district loyally for many years, and this agreement was the district's acknowledgement that something went a little wrong with how they were hired and the positions they held. I'm glad we were able to use our good working relationship to come to the table and reach an agreement that was fair to both sides. But delaying their full remedy any longer is not fair. I also wanted to touch on the recent vaccination and weekly testing mandate and express my support for following all required health and safety guidelines to ensure that our students return to the classroom safely. As a parent of 2 students enrolled at Desert Sands, I hope that we will be able to proceed with this school year without any disruptions to student services. I appreciate the district administration collaborates and works with us as union leaders to make sure we're all on the same page. Because the bottom line, when it comes to the health and safety of our children, is that there shouldn't be a debate. We have a responsibility to follow the rules and do what's best for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, listen, everybody. Under the Ed Code and under the Penal Code, if you cannot be respectful, we can clear the room and stop the public comment. So I'm telling you right now, you can either be quiet and listen to what everybody has to say, or you're going to be asked to leave. That's the law. Yes, it is. Penal Code 403. Look it up.
Okay, Ms.
Go ahead. I
Hilbert.
apologize.
Perfect. Thank you for letting me speak. Real-time data is coming in every day. Iran Sheffield Independent School District in Texas closed for 2 weeks. Nearly 6,000 in quarantine or isolation in Hillsborough County, Florida, public schools. 600 in Scottsdale Unified School District in Arizona quarantined after a week of school. 78 positive cases on campus, 31 positive cases of those who stayed home. 440 quarantined in Palm Beach, Florida, just after 2 days of school due to 51 student and faculty COVID cases. 1,000 Nashville students quarantined, 207 students and 52 staff COVID positive. 9 counties in Georgia have shifted to online learning due to outbreaks and to a record 4,000 positive cases. Now, what do all of these places have in common? No mask mandates in their schools, causing clusters, causing outbreaks, causing students to not be in their classroom. Science has given us a tool to mitigate the spread of airborne viruses. We have been using this tool, a mask, for centuries for this purpose. We all want to avoid what happened last year. Teachers and students deserve to be in the classroom teaching and learning. We are seeing real-time data that shows that the way to keep students and teachers in the classroom is a universal mandate for mask wearing. As one of your teachers in your district and a parent of 2 students in this district, I'm here to say thank you. Thank you for continuing to implement and enforce this mask mandate. Also, happy first day to all of the teachers out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Tony, and it is is your last name? Thank you.
My name is Tony Ringline. I live in Cathedral City, which is not in this district, but I have 4 beautiful granddaughters in this school district. And what you're doing to them is criminal. This mask mandate has to go, and I challenge every one of you to take off your mask so we can see your face and listen to you when you talk. My friend Chase, I am so proud of you. Tara, you've done a great job. He's the young man you need to be listening to, more than even to me. What he said is true and right. You need to remove the masks off our children. I have a long list of other things I want to talk about as well. And I know you're aware of them because it's going on all over the country. Parents are standing up to their board, their elected board, to protect and teach our children. You're not protecting and teaching our children the right way. And parents are standing up across this country. And now you have Coachella Valley standing up. Because we're not going to have it here. We don't want it here. And let me just give you a list of what we don't want here. Mask mandates, social distancing. With that in mind, Teach them correct hygiene. Make sure they're washing their hands, that your surfaces are clean. If you're sick, stay at home. These are things we were always doing anyway and should be doing. But this criminal mask, abusive mask, as Dan said, is unnecessary and it needs to end. Critical race theory. You all grew up in this era. I've been on the planet 60 years and all I've heard is, it is about the content of our character, not the color of our skin. Why all of a sudden that narrative is changing, I have no idea. But it's evil, and it needs to end. And if you embrace CRT in these schools, trust me, we will not stop. We will be here, and we will fight you every step of the way. Inappropriate sexual education is another one. Our children are being sexualized at every level, Hollywood, you name it. It is not up to you to sexualize our children. You need to stop it, and stop that now. Parents teach their children about sex ed. I don't know how it all got started. I remember it when I was in high school, and how it got to where it is today. I can't even believe a school board would vote that stuff in. It is evil, absolute evil. I hope you're listening, and I hope you have parents or children or grandchildren, because it's affecting them. Your decisions are affecting them. Indoctrinating them with liberal, destructive, oh man, I could have kept going on. You get the idea.
Thank you, yes.
Do what's right for our children, not for the unions and not for the politicians.
Okay, there we go. The next three will be Ann Rock, Charlene Whittinger, and Wendy Byer. Ann Rock.
If there was an oops, can you hear me? I want to make sure you can hear me. If there was an upside to COVID, it's that parents finally got to see the lack of readiness and stubborn selfishness of many of our school personnel. Our kids were not their primary concern. Parents got to see much of their children's Zoom time dominated by ideology, politics, and left-wing virtue signaling. As parents, we have a choice. Already 5 million kids have been removed from the grasp of the government-run school system. By the fall, that number may even double. As parents, we have rights, and we're not giving them up to bureaucrats and teachers that think they should have the right to decide how to parent our children. Last time I was at this meeting, I watched as this board pat themselves on the back for their hard work and accomplishments. Well, not so fast. Our education system isn't that good. According to the U.S. Department of Education and their own national report card, approximately a third of children in grades 4, 8, and 12 are just proficient in reading. 6% of 12th grade were advanced, while a third were below basic. This means they're functionally illiterate. Our schools continue to dumb down the curriculum because, after all, having an academic standard is racism, so our kids are getting worse. So imagine any business that functioned in this manner would be shut down or sued, and yet this is what's going on in our schools. Americans pay more than $1 trillion in local, state, and federal tax to pay for this substandard education. Our schools are guaranteeing ignorance, but don't worry, because these bureaucrats will make sure they're fully indoctrinated in the new religion, CRT, with a little inappropriate sexualization sprinkled in. What differentiates critical race theory from other forms of social justice reform is that from rejecting racist labeling, stereotyping, and bigoted generalization, CRT is predicated on this. These school boards are not our friend. They're in bed with the teachers' unions, and all you have to do is follow the money. They get funds for CRT and sexualizing our children. Our good teachers are bullied for standing against this. Don't be fooled. These are wolves in sheep's clothing. They walk among you, they're in your churches, they sit here and espouse their Christian values, all the while deceiving parents and our children. One of our members attends a local church which promotes a group called The Squad, which wants to have a squad on every campus gathering the young and promoting CRT. It's no longer possible to insist that radical left-wing education reform won't happen in our schools or our suburbs. We can no longer rationalize that we know a few teachers that would never do this. It's here. The CRT religion, it's here.
Thank you.
Good evening. This is a tough time, so lots of decisions to make, and I really understand what you're going through and you're all going through. It is a very difficult time for all of you, and you guys are doing a great job, Board of Education. We have a good decision. We have some good news for us right now. We are here to talk about the Memorandum of Understanding with the Southwest Regional Council of Carpenters. We are so excited. About 2 years ago, we met with administration, the cabinet, and Dr. Bailey to talk about our kids and a career pathway into construction. This has been my passion for as long as I can remember being in education, and I'm not going to tell you how long that is. Being flunking retirement and coming back to work with Southwest Carpenters to make sure that we could, to tell them all about this program that we have. The program has, now we have over 100 programs throughout 6 states. We have almost 3,000 students enrolled. We will be opening it up in the fall with LAUSD in Clark County. And that's our 2 biggest ones, but all throughout the Southern California. This is a program that is, we want to make this, and I want to recognize Kevin Bebo and Kelly May and all the group that worked with us to make this happen, and Dr. Bailey as well. This is a dual enrollment program. The kids get to go to school, learn a trade. When they come out, we'll give them direct entry into construction trade, into carpentry, and this is the first one that we've worked with, and so this is a flagship for us. We want to make this throughout the Southern California, and we want to make Desert Sands as an example of this great opportunity to move forward in this area. So the biggest, this Southwest Regional Council program is highly recognized throughout the nation. So all eyes are on us right now to see how we work through this implementation of our great pre-apprenticeship program. The success of the program is due to a well-developed curriculum and teacher support and support to the district by the Southwest Carpenters. And I want to introduce, I've got 34 seconds, so I'm going to introduce Jeff Scott. He's the next speaker, am I right, Blanche? Over here. Jeff.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I've known Blanche for so long, I just figured she's doing it all. So anyway, Jeff Scott is one of our outreach specialists that will be supporting the program. He'll be coming out, visiting the school site. We're having it at Eisenhower. Oh, and I forgot to thank one other person, and that's Dr. Gustafson. He's been really doing site walks with us, talking about how we can make this work. So Jeff will tell you about the curriculum and the support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board. I appreciate the time to talk about this agenda item. Really just wanted to show that the curriculum that we bring, the support that we bring to this community is very needed. There's not another that I am aware of trades pathway in the Low Desert region across any of the school districts. So CTE is a big proponent of the Southwest Carpenters, and we want to see these trade programs come back to life. And we've kind of hit the nail on the head, so to speak, with this program. There's not another dual enrollment program that we currently work with. So it's very unique. Kids have the opportunity to get college credits, get trade credits, and come in and have a career that they will succeed at. But like Charlene mentioned, the support. This isn't a, we drop something off of the doorstep and walk away. This is a lockstep partnership. We'll be here for your instructors. We'll be here for your students. The mentorship to let them know the career opportunities, the entry and exit points, and where they can take this. This isn't just a, warehouse job. This is a career that they can buy a house in the valley with, something that they can support themselves without having to go into college debt and take out a lot of loans. So this is something that I'm very passionate about. Wish I had when I went through high school. And it's just something that we hope that the community as a whole, but especially your students, are going to benefit from, is building the community, having the community members build their community. So try to cut it out. I know there's a lot of comments on the board, but we would love to have you on a tour of one of our facilities. We just opened up a new training center at Riverside, but we also have our grand training center in Ontario that we would love to host the board at separate times to see. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So thank you for the time to talk. Our other partner here in this program is College of the Desert. They've been involved the entire way. The instructor in the program is coming from COD. And we already talked about it being a college credit program. When the students are finished, in addition to getting credit here from the school district, they'll also get 12 units of credit from COD. So they'll start the program here, and they'll finish at COD, and then at that point move on into an apprenticeship where they can take the I have new time. Oh, thank you. Where they can take that into a job. So we are very focused with our career technical education programs, providing opportunities for students to use their education for the next steps that come to them after they're here with us in the high school or in the school district, whether that's with a community college or with a trade program or a four-year university. And we're very excited about this partnership. This has been going on for a number of years, and we're very excited that we're starting it this year. So thank you for your time. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, check. The next two people are ceding their time. I have Julie Kay and Kim Snell. They're giving their minutes to Kenny Snell. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Snell, I'm sorry.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Mr. Snell.
Thank you for having me back. My name is Kenny Snell. I'm here as a voter, not as a teacher, although I've been a teacher at La Quinta High School for 25 years. So just make that clear. Last month, Pastor Hawkins was here, and he implored you to let him be a bridge between you and these good people that elected you. You refused. I'm here today to talk to you about another bridge. It's the last bridge you have connecting you between these good people, and you're about to blow it up. And I'm imploring you not to blow it up. To save your bridge, you need to do three things. You need to get rid of ethnic studies, you need to get rid of the mask, and you need to get rid of the state steal of engagement. It's all insidious. Last time I was here, I talked about the importance of inquiry, the importance of digging to a source and discerning for yourselves. Did anybody check my sources? If you had, you would have known that I talked about the PCR test, and I told you they were junk. 2 days after I was here, the FDA and the CDC revoked the PCR test because they can't tell the difference between COVID and the flu. But you're still using them. Why are you still using PCR tests if they don't work? The other thing, and I was wrong on this, so I want to admit that I was wrong. I told you that 100,000 migrants from all over the world were crossing our border every month, unmasked, untested, unvaccinated, and transported to God knows where in our nation until they get to God knows where and the community wakes up and finds them. I was wrong. It's 200,000 migrants a month. Let's go on to your ethnic studies. Last month you said something kind of disturbing. You said ethnic studies was not CRT. So I was interested, and I went to your website, and I saw a summary that explains this. And all it says is that it's not CRT because it doesn't say CRT. It mentions CRT 3 times, so therefore it's not. This reads like a lead stories fact check written by a 9th grader. Look, it is true that CRT is mentioned 3 times, but it's mentioned in the introduction, and it says teachers will familiarize themselves with CRT. Students will learn CRT. The only thing that was true was that it was mentioned 3 times. But this doesn't matter because I told you to dig for sources. If you dig for sources in ethnic studies, you find that it's all based on someone named Christine Sleeter. Christine Sleeter says ethnic studies is born from political activism, and it's inseparable from political activism. It tells you that kids will be classified either as a victim or an oppressor. There's no middle ground. There are assignments that tell them to go figure out how they are a victim, and if they can't, they become labeled an oppressor. This ethnic study uses 2 things over and over and over again. Third World Liberation Fronts, which, by the way, closed down schools, and BLM. And it tells them to find a problem in your community, to study how BLM did it, and to go act like BLM. Are you really ready to unleash BLM on this district office? You think these people are rude? You think we're rude? I don't think you've seen a BLM rally. Now you're going to tell me that, but we use the Cesar Chavez study. Well, look, you're gaslighting us. Once you approve that 900-page monstrosity, you approve everything. Teachers are free to pull anything from that curriculum to their history classes at will. The Cesar Chavez unit, by the way, though, uses a group called Association of Raza Educators. This is La Raza, whose goal is to return the southwestern United States to Mexico. Go to their website. Santa Barbara had one of these. They all now have an ethnic studies club with a flag and a fist, and they go and demonstrate. The La Raza website, the American Raza Educators website, won't even say California. It says Calis because, of course, they don't recognize California. The state seal is just as bad. The state seal uses PolitiFact to fact-check satire. That's the model lesson from Chicago. You should go look at that. I really suggest that you do. On the mask, recently I had a chance to ask Governor Newsom's top doctor of safe schools that sets these mask mandates to cite the specific peer-reviewed study that she's using. You know what she had? She had 2 little studies from 2020 that the CDC even says are observational only. That's what's getting you in your masks. But you're safe right now because you're drinking water. So let's just call the ball here. Let's call the ball. Molly Ball, award-winning biographist for Nancy Pelosi, tells us in Time magazine that this election of 2020 was rigged by a powerful cabal. She tells us that. This is them. This isn't a right wing. This is Molly Ball, biographer for Nancy Pelosi. I think she'd have a pretty good idea. We know that our tax money was used by Dr. Fauci, given to Eco Alliance Health, given to the Wuhan Biology Lab, and this Chinese pneumonia was released upon an unsuspecting world. And I use Chinese pneumonia in light of Taiwan. That's what they call it. Taiwan's about to be invaded if you're not paying attention. Now, look, you guys. You said that you have to do what Sacramento says. No. You're elected by these people. Those that say they must listen to Sacramento, we know are selected. They're not elected. We know about the fraud, and we know California was a model for the fraud, and we know Riverside County is deep, deep, deep in that. So I'm telling you right now, don't blow up your bridge. Don't destroy the relationship you have with these people, because if you fail to represent them that elected you, and if you insist on representing the people that selected you, we're going to dig. And we're going to dig, and we're going to find out why, and we're going to dig to Shanghai, China, if we need to figure out where the selection came from and what your motivations are. I suggest one more thing. Go to the internet, Google, or search. I wouldn't advise using Google, but you can. Search for School Board Recall, California. And I think you'll find a record number of them this year throughout California. So look, repeal the mask. It's not based on science. Repeal the ethnic studies and the state seal. It's divisive. If you're worried about funding, here's your chance. Be heroes of America. Stand up for what is right. America will fund you. You want to play the villain, America will not forgive you.
Ms. Byer, I apologize for that earlier, Ms. Byer. Okay.
Good evening. I'm here to discuss the implementation of AD 329, CalSex Ed. I have in front of me 458 U.S. 747. That's 458 U.S. 747, New York v. Ferber, Supreme Court of the United States, in which they define the guilt of a person engaged in the sexual abuse of a child. And I quote, "A person is guilty of the use of a child in a sexual performance if, knowing the character and content thereof, he employs, authorizes, board, induces a child less than 16 years of age to 1, engage in a sexual performance, or being 1, a parent, a legal guardian, or a custodian, school board, of such child, he consents to the participation by such child in a sexual performance." Further quoting, sexual conduct means 1, actual or simulated, school board, sexual intercourse, deviant sexual intercourse, sexual bestiality, masturbation, sadomasochistic abuse, or lewd exhibition of the genitals. In 9 Cal 3D, 9 Cal 3rd 950, 958, or 109 Cal Reporter 553, 513, paragraph 2D, and 601 states that City Council can be sued by a body that is not represented or is treated badly based on a compelling state interest by more than the, quote, least restrictive means. Now, I have to suggest to you that if the City Council were sued for the things that are going on in these classrooms, including CRT, CalSex Ed, masks, and all that they would file a countersuit to the school board in about 2 minutes, and you would all be named defendants. As far as hiding behind the we have to do what Sacramento is doing, Sacramento has no regard for the rule of law, and they have demonstrated so on many fronts, including the right to assemble, the right to free speech, and the responsibility to protect the borders of this nation. And so if you try to hide behind, well, we just have to do what Sacramento tells us to do, I promise you, you cannot do that. And by the way, 500,000 white men died on battlefields across this nation 160 years ago to free black people.
I'm killing them all. They just don't work. Okay, the next 2 people cede their time. And it is Annette Sandy, Shelley Mast. You cede your time to Bonnie Ethington.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. President and members of the Desert Sands School Board, I'm here tonight because I believe if you truly understood the long-term ramifications of critical race theory, you would do everything in your power to protect the families in our community from this dangerous ideology. I am a retired high school teacher, and I have taught AP US History and AP European History for 15 years. In March of this year, it was announced California's Education Department chooses ethnic studies over 100,000 objections. Why so many objections, you might ask? Because critical race theory is the framework of this curriculum. In this ethnic studies, the 1619 project, though filled with errors and distortions, will be taught to our children as the real beginning of our nation. The American Revolution will be presented as a war that was fought to defend slavery, not freedom. Our Declaration of Independence, stating all men are created equal, which actually laid the foundation for slaves to be freed, will be ignored. And our Constitution, that has successfully amended the free slaves and give blacks the right to vote, will be shredded. In order to get our students to hate America, history will be rewritten. As a history teacher, I am appalled. Our students will also be taught to hate each other. I have seen how fast racial tension can flare on the high school campus. Yet, if CRT is taught in our district, the goal of every lesson will be to poison the moral character of white students, and that would include our brave Danny over here. If they challenge this, they will be labeled a racist, and the non-whites who will turn up their pent-up anger on them. How does this fit into your goal of providing a safe environment? This repressive discrimination comes directly from the central spokesperson for CRT, Dr. Ibram Kendi, who insists the only remedy for past discrimination is present discrimination. Dr. Kendi needs to be reminded that America is a country of laws, and white people are also protected against discrimination through the Civil Rights Act and the state constitution. It would appear Dr. Kendi has not read either. But the truth be told, ignoring our laws is necessary in order for deconstruction of our nation to be successful. Black parents are furious at an attempt to label their children as victims of oppression, and consequently will never be able to be successful in the so-called white world. White parents are, of course, equally enraged that their children will be forced to accept a label of evil oppressor and made to apologize for something they have not done. Jewish parents are also alarmed, seeing how vulnerable their children are. Quoting from Saul Goldberg, critical race theory endorses Karl Marx's theory of the oppressor and the oppressed. And Israel, tarred as a colonial oppressor of the innocent Palestinians, sits directly in its gun sight. Does supporting CRT play into the hands of those who want to destroy Israel? End quote. We need to ask ourselves the same question. Does supporting critical race theory play directly into the hands of those who want to destroy America? Critical race theory is not going to stop with just pitting students against each other, but in order for our traditions and our heritage to be deconstructed, students have to reject the traditions of the family as well. Completely ignoring our constitutional right of freedom of speech, the new woke canceled culture is attempting to radically change the Spanish language and thereby radically changing their culture. By removing the feminine A and the masculine O and replacing them with an X. We can no longer say Latino or Latina, but the politically correct, non-offensive term is Latinx. I'm not joking. This is for real. Hispanic students are now being called Latinx by President Biden. I heard him say it on the television. That's appalling. Hispanic parents, I am talking to you directly. Your children represent 75% of the student body in this district. Is this what you want for your children to have to submit to? CRT is turning America into a nation of tribes that are warring against each other. I have a friend who has recently immigrated from Kenya. She knows what tribalism and hatred can do to a nation. Kenya does have elections every 5 years, but it is always the most violent tribe that wins the election. She has witnessed scenes that curled my blood when she described them to me. Like a woman walking aimlessly down the street with her husband's decapitated head in her bag. My friend lived in constant fear, and she was not a member of the ruling tribe. When she saw the violent riots in our streets, with buildings burning, police cars being overturned, business owners shot and killed while trying to protect their businesses, she was terrified as it brought to her mind the horrors she had hoped she had left behind. Is tribalism rising in America? She asked with trembling voice and tears in her eyes. It was difficult for me to try to explain to her why the authorities who had the power to stop the violence didn't. Is this really the world you want to create for our children? Because it is already happening. CRT will teach our children to hate. It will teach them to challenge their parents, their traditions, their moral values. It will teach them that America is evil and does not deserve their allegiance. But worst of all, it will teach them to keep silent if they disagree. You have the power and the authority to stop this. We will be watching you, and we are not going away.
Is Reno Barella.
Hope everybody likes my shirt. Okay. Good evening, board. The main reason I'm wearing this shirt is during the whole mass up that we had last year, over 1 million children were actually abducted throughout the world. So the mass really helped the traffickers. Okay, I'm gonna read this. When do good and decent people switch from doing what is godly right to what is horrifically wrong, especially for our youth? The good and decent people, have they been compromised by money, greed, fear, hate? Or did they just plead ignorance such as I didn't know, or worse, they just said, I was following orders? I was following orders has caused great and oftentimes irreversible suffering. And suffering holds a purpose even if we don't understand it at first. And basically that's why all us parents and grandparents are here right now. It's like, why is this happening? But it did wake us all up to be here. Let's see, where am I? I believe that grandparents want to hold the appointed school boards throughout the United States accountable for the safety, security, proper education of our youth, and to allow each child the opportunity to become self-reliance, a book that was written by Ralph Waldo Emerson. If any of you don't know about that, I encourage you to read that for your kids. And also so that the kids are free, creative, and can be happy thinkers to become what they wish to be. The school board's curriculum of mask mandate, CRT, BLM, white privilege, is suffocating our youth's mind, body, and spirit. Again, I say, if you think you're just following orders, if that's your excuse, well, I'd like to read a quick quote. The question isn't to ask what I knew. The question is to ask what I could have known if I wanted to. I had plenty of signs. That was by Albert Speer. He was Adolf Hitler's architect that was responsible for all the concentration camps. So please, board, don't go fetal on us. You are in the position to know, and don't deny. Thank you.
Celeste Feeler. Yes, please. Celeste Feeler. Then it will be Evan Truby and John Whitman. Thank you.
Good evening. While you were shutting our kids out of the classrooms for a year, forced them to wear masks, took their sports away, snuck in racist curriculum in our schools, and then lied about it, belittled us as parents as we stood at the podium, as you gave us 3 minutes to voice our concerns. You put stickers on the ground to spaced apart and plexiglass around the desks as if our children couldn't follow directions. And then we watched you educate some educators who claimed our children would kill them in restaurants, traveling, in grocery stores, game nights with other families. And while we were all doing that, or watching that, and you gave yourself raises, we built an army. Our community members, our parents, our grandparents, guardians, we no longer trust you when it comes to putting the students first. You broke that trust as you let students fail. As we all watch our children trapped in a burning building, I'm urging all who are listening, parents, teachers, and community members, to join parentunion.org. As parents across California are banding together to push for school choice on the ballot so that this never happens again. Teachers, if you'd like a raise, we'll help you opt out of this union that we like to call a cartel. Also offering legal help. Parents, we will provide the transparency that the school district has lacked, has held from us when it comes to curriculum, opening our schools, and sports. Nothing is promised here. Grandparents, we will save what you built. Community members, stand with us as we save our youth. Our children cannot afford to lose any more than they have. So I'm urging you all to join parentunion.org. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Evan Truby. I'm from Palm Desert. I have 3 kids who have either gone through or are in Desert Sands. So thank you for your service. I know it takes a lot of time commitment on your behalf to do this. I'm here tonight to talk about ethnic studies. Ethnic studies is part and parcel of critical race theory. Critical theory was developed by Marxist revolutionaries at the Frankfurt School in Germany in the 1920s with the intent of dividing and conquering a population, allowing them, the Marxists, to seize, control, and or destroy all existing institutions. Leaders of BLM have openly bragged about being trained Marxists. CRT teaches our children to see themselves as either oppressors or victims based on the immutable trait of their skin color. Dividing populations either by class or race is a tactic that has been used for over a century all over the world by Marxists and has led to bloodshed, division, suffering, hatred, oppression, and ultimately the death of tens of millions of innocent lives. It is a pathway towards a dystopian future. It is a, if you don't believe me, you don't have to take my word for it. I would suggest that you go look up the Chinese Cultural Revolution and Pol Pot in Cambodia, among other events throughout history. You can see for yourself. Marxists do not stop of their own accord until they seize total control of all institutions, and even then, they do not stop persecuting their political rivals. There is no compromise with or appeasement of people who adhere to this doctrine. It is a destructive ideology without morals or ethics in any sense that a normal person can understand. It is a pure and naked grab for power. The total accumulated knowledge of the human race is so vast and extensive. Why would we want to waste time implementing a curriculum that segregates our children by something as capricious and arbitrary as their race? Please do be brave and take a stand against this destructive indoctrination of our children by rejecting ethnic studies and CRT. And I want to say two other things. I'm so proud of Chase. I've known that kid since he was in elementary school. Really good. Really great kid. Secondly, I think it was Kenny who mentioned La Raza. And it always struck me like, it seems like a good group. They're fighting for rights. Well, La Raza, translated, means the race. And I can't think of a group that's less diverse or more exclusionary than a group that calls itself La Raza. So I would hope we reject any ideas promoted by them. Thank you.
Thank you. Whiteman? Thank you.
I only have a couple things to say because most of what I was going to talk about has already been said here with everybody else, so I'll yield my time that's left over to Dan Ball. I sat all summer and I watched these school board meetings, and I listened to everybody come here and donate their time, and I thank you because I'm not really good at standing up and speaking. But one thing I wanted to point out was my wife went and picked up masks for our children today. And on the box for our child that's in 6th grade, it states, not intended for use as a liquid barrier protection, not intended for antiviral protection, or uses for infection prevention. My high school I have 2 boys that are in high school, and the box that they got says this mask does not eliminate the risk of contacting any virus, disease, or infection. What's ironic, both these boxes were made in China. So you're telling us that we have to put these masks that say they don't work on our children. If that's not the definition of virtue signaling, I don't know what is.
So I've been listening to these concerned parents up here tell you folks a lot of facts. We can't see your reaction because you're hiding behind those masks. I see some disdain in some people's eyes back there. I won't call them out by name, but I see some disdain. Why? Why are you upset with what they're saying? They elected you. You're supposed to do our will and our bidding, not Sacramento, not a union. But I want to point out a few facts because there's been some misrepresentation tonight. There was a gal that came up earlier and talked about the numbers, as I said in my statement, in Texas and Florida. I knew someone would do that. Those numbers were misreported. Do yourself a favor tonight. Log on and look. The Department of Health for Texas and Florida both refuted those numbers and said the CDC combined multiple days, the numbers are inaccurate. But yet this administration federally and Mr. Newsom keep touting those numbers to scare the hell out of you so our kids have to wear masks and maybe get the vax once it's legalized. Those numbers are not accurate. That's one. 2, 212,000. I picked up COVID at the border a few months ago. There's 114 nations that are spewing people through our southern border. They've come in with at least a dozen different variants. I picked up the Brazilian strain. So let me tell you, when you start blaming anti-vaxxers and non-mask wearers, you're not getting the facts and the data because you're not reading. You're again listening to your union leaders that are pressuring you in Sacramento. These are mandates. These are not laws. You as a board can stand up. As I was trying to finish in my last one, a school board just last night in North Carolina stood up and said no to masks. And by the way, I will touch CRT really fast. CNN, really? Teachers are spewing that garbage to my child? Did you not see the Project Veritas tapes? The CEO, Jeff Zucker at CNN, tells his staff every day which way to spew a narrative.
Thank you.
And for you to allow teachers to let the kids watch
Okay, you're
CNN
done.
is wrong. And
Ellen Way? Thank you. After that will be Dennis Wadley. Wadley.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, President Griffith and Superintendent and board members. Thank you for being here tonight and for listening to all of us. I don't need to reiterate what all of the people out here have said. What I'd really like to say to you is please listen. These are all unrelated people who are very concerned about our children. I'm the mother of 2 daughters who have been educated in this community, and this country is free. And it is up to you as our elected officials to protect those freedoms. And I know from sitting up there, it's not always fun. Lots of times nobody is happy with you, but you all chose to run for office and you were elected to those seats, and we ask you to represent the people. And everyone in this room is representing people who could be afraid, who are working, and who aren't here tonight. So trust me, this 100 people is probably 10,000 people. And the fact that 27,000 students are coming to school tomorrow shows me that parents want their kids to go to school. So please work to keep our schools open, to help our children learn to face fears, to face disease, to work through problems, and to not hide at home in their bedrooms and not dealing with life. They've got to deal with life. So thank you very much. I thank everyone. I applaud all of you for being here, for taking time and standing up. God bless America. And don't forget, this is a free country. Thank you.
we still have 124.
Somebody else's time.
She just yielded it to me, Don.
You've
We're not
already
following the rules?
spoken, you're done.
Excuse me, Don. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I thought you're not supposed to comment. The Brown Act, you don't comment back. We comment, you listen. You don't comment till the end. That's the rule.
Okay.
She yielded her time.
Cut his
so,
mic.
here's what I'd like to say. I have a question for you real quick. Are you going to throw me out, Don? Really? Excuse me. She yielded...
Because you guys cannot be quiet. You're interfering with our meeting. I'm not afraid of anything. Well, we can. Yeah, okay. All right, we're gonna.
Everybody calm down. Calm down. There was a minute 25 left on the clock. According to the rules of this board, I was given that lady's time. Now, this guy says I can't have the time of this board to leave. Hey, now, sit back down, man. I'll leave, it's okay. I'll leave, John, you get your way. Go ahead, sit back down.
Superintendent Bailey, can you take my comment? I didn't get it submitted. That's what I was going to read. Thank you.
God is going to judge you accordingly.
Howard.
I guess we're not going to give you interviews anymore. So if I could just say something real quick. There's one way to deal with this. So we ran an orphan boarding high school in South Africa. I'm a professor in Ethiopia. Schools are a pain in the butt. It's not easy. But here's what you do. If these guys are going to destroy our children, we need to start our own schools.